Another win over Joe Burrow. Derrick Henry breaks this big run in overtime to basically seal the game. Here's Derrick Henry on Lamar.
That was like third MVP level for him. That was like that one of a kind of game. Just especially the one where he was getting sacked, got out the pocket, kept running down, almost got out of bounds, threw that ball back to Zay. That was just, that's why Lamar is who Lamar is, and the best player in the league. He's a GOAT for a reason.
Okay. Now again, GOAT is thrown around.
Especially Derrick throws the GOAT
he said
around
a. He didn't say the GOAT. He said he's a GOAT. If
And
you're
he called
born in
Justin Tucker the
1990,
GOAT,
yeah, well, he might actually be the GOAT kicker, but yeah, go ahead.
Making them 50 yards.
I don't know, Vinatieri is a GOAT. I'll put him in a GOAT.
Yeah, sure.
Reaction.
Well, to the win, to his.
What Derrick Henry was talking about.
Look, Lamar is playing fantastic. Like, I think he's throwing the ball. I know the statistics don't necessarily bear it out. This isn't his highest completion percentage or highest passer rating. That was his second year winning MVP. But he's throwing the ball terrifically. Like, maybe it's because he doesn't have all the pressure of running it better than anybody else, although they've always had a good run game. But I think he's playing well. And I entered this season, and I think you agree with me, Nick, like Lamar was – everybody else had a head start in the MVP race.
Here we go.
Because he's won 2 already, hasn't been good in the playoffs, hasn't gotten to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, we
it's like
it.
He's not going to win it a third time. But look at his numbers compared to last year when he won MVP. His numbers this year are better in everything, but markedly better outside of completion percentage. Passer rating's much better. He's running for 20 more yards a game and passing for more yards a game. He's got 9 touchdowns, 1 interception. I still think it's going to be challenging for him to win his third MVP this year. However, if it is a season, and so far, all of the usual suspects, Mahomes, Josh Allen, Burrow, they're not in the conversation right now. And then you got Darnold, who kind of went a little bit pumping him. Jaden, who's a rookie. Like, right now, he's putting himself in the conversation. It's going to have to, nobody else is going to have a great year on a great team for him to win it, but he's playing some of his best football.
Yeah, I think what would have helped is if he would have got it done against Patrick Mahomes week 1. Because that's going to be up. You beat Josh Allen, who everybody was talking about. Oh, he's playing MVP level, and he played better in that game. And you look at the way he played against Joe Burrow. You've been on this about Joe Burrow gets more praise than forever, and Lamar gets slighted, and he outdueled Burrow. Burrow had a great game, but Lamar outdueled him. He got the win. Your quarterback's wins guy. Look, Lamar Jackson right now, because I believe they found their identity. They know they're going to run the football with Derrick Henry. He can be this freelance quarterback that can make those throws across the body like Josh Allen can. He can have the splash plays. And I think when you're trying to get an MVP and you've already won it, you got to have those exciting splash plays. Lamar is going to always be a highlight reel, and so he's going to always have a chance to be in this race. I think just the idea of him not getting it done in the postseason and not getting it done against Patrick Mahomes in week 1 is going to come back to bite him.
Okay, so here's the thing. So this is the start of the show today.
Yeah.
You can verify, if people aren't listening. I said it and I'll say it again. It was an A-plus game by Lamar. It was an MVP-level game by Lamar. That was a great game, okay? Well, no, here's the thing. This is the burden of being Mr. Consistency.
Oh, here we go.
And this will be the clip that gets shared by all the Ravens social media accounts that I'm sure DM Wild's like, you really gave it to Nick today on Lamar Jackson. It's like give him thumbs up. Yeah, I know you do. Purple. Because here's the thing. There has been some weird narrative shift.
Okay.
And I have stayed put, and now it's as if I'm some hater. We all, after the AFC Championship game, were in agreement on a number of things about Lamar. First one was he's probably going to be almost ineligible for MVP until he has a great playoff run. We talked about how the history of it, winning 3, winning back-to-back, all of it. That's the first thing. Another thing we said was, as no matter what he does this upcoming regular season, we will still have major questions and concerns going into the postseason because of the long history of it. I have stayed in that exact space. The world seemingly has been like, I know we said that in February. We didn't mean it. He's awesome
But
and the
don't
best.
things change?
Well,
I mean, we're watching how, and it's not just him. It's that no one else is having this terrific
okay,
season.
but
At least
the other thing.
usual
So
suspects.
no, I don't think things change as much as if we say that if you have questions about Lamar, they cannot be answered in the regular season. I don't think 5 games of regular season football should be able to answer them. The other thing that I do feel has totally changed and been just a red herring, just nonsense, is Lamar's unfairly maligned. He's not given enough love. Guys, he's won 2 MVPs. That's voted on by the media.
Yeah.
One of them was unanimous. Tom Brady, the year he was 16-0, was not a unanimous MVP. Peyton Manning, when he had 5,500 yards, 55 touchdowns, was not a unanimous MVP. Lamar was unanimous 4 years ago and 1 vote from being unanimous last year. He is not unfairly maligned by the media.
I agree with you on that.
And your point that his numbers this year are better than last year is true. But what's also true is this. Put Lamar's numbers last year up against the last 20 league MVPs and say which one of these kind of looks like the Steve Nash MVP one year where the numbers aren't what they're supposed to be. Because people love him. And last year, that team was the best thing about that team was its defense. The best thing, and Lamar won league MVP. And so I feel like people are I hate to use the term, gaslighting about the Lamar Jackson conversation.
Okay. Well, Nick, under that logic, then Patrick Mahomes, shouldn't have won the Super Bowl MVP because the best thing about that team was the defense. So we'll just leave that there. But with that said, I'm gonna annoy lots of people too. Maybe me and Nick are brothers. I agree with what Nick is saying, but I also largely disagree with what he's saying. I agree with the whole idea that people are obsessed saying that Lamar is hated on or the goalpost moved, because I interact with a lot of Baltimore Ravens fans, and it's just not true. I mean, they all say it too. They're all like, everyone's so hard on Lamar, everyone's so hard on Lamar, and it's like, he's a 2-time MVP. He's got paid all the money in the world, right? He's seen as a leader. He's praised nonstop, right? And it's like, he hasn't, done enough in the playoffs, and that is what hurts your reputation. And if people are going to say that you're as good or better than Patrick Mahomes or this or that, then you're held to a high level of scrutiny. And every single fan base feels this way about their quarterback. Patrick Mahomes fan base feel it. Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, because I interact with all of them, and they all say the same thing. And quite frankly, it's like, it's so tiring to hear. Because as someone who actually consumes all of this, because a lot of these fans say this and they're only consuming primarily their own team's content. I'm consuming all of it. And they constantly are like moving the target. Purdy is another one, 49ers, right? They all say the same thing. They're just a hater. They're just a hater. Everyone always hates Lamar. Everyone hates Purdy. Everyone hates Jalen. Everyone hates Dak. And it's like, no. And that's why when it's always funny when people throw that at me, because it's like, feel as though I'm incredibly consistent based on all the things that I say from team to team to team, quarterback to quarterback to quarterback. And the problem is if you say, I could say 99.9% positives about Lamar Jackson, and if I give one little kernel of criticism, it just sets people off. They just go nuts over it. And it's like, I just talked for 25 minutes about how amazing Lamar Jackson is. I just said he needs to be a little blank, blank, blank. And they just lose their mind. They just lose mind. And it's not unique just to the Baltimore Ravens fans. It's every fan base. It's like people can only listen to just one thing, and it has to be 100% positive. If not, they just can't handle it. And it's like, I that's not who I am, quite frankly. I struggle to see why so many people are like that, quite frankly. You really do have one or the other, where people are either 1,000% homers or 1,000% haters, and no matter what anyone does. In a lot of ways, every single conversation around these quarterbacks, honestly, is LeBron James versus MJ. If people are either MJ's the GOAT, nothing LeBron will ever do will get there, or it's, are you kidding me? LeBron is the GOAT, MJ could never. It's just these extremes that honestly I'm constantly exposed to because of the situation that I'm in, making these videos of all of these different teams and obviously going through all of the comments. So I literally experience it firsthand every single day. So please take what I'm saying as some truth to it, because I experience it in real time. I'm making this video after I just made a Ravens video and I just read all the comments and it's like, oh my God, like my head wants to explode. It can get wild. And I know that's what Nick is honestly even talking about to a degree. But in terms of the MVP, should he win the MVP? Is he the MVP? It's all about perception. And I talked about this before as well last year. Considering how the Ravens ended their season and how, how Lamar did not look good in the playoffs. And again, I blame the coaching for that, but he did not look good. The Ravens lost. They lost to the Chiefs. I think a lot of people felt silly for giving Lamar the MVP. Right, considering Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy went to the Super Bowl. The Ravens did not. Lamar did not play good. Even Patrick Mahomes, right, winning the Super Bowl. Right, like that makes, those things can make so much more sense than giving it to Lamar. So yeah, and it's not like we hit the reset button. People remember things. So if you were just looking at this season, right, and I always like to use this example for various situations because I think it's really relevant. If we had no idea what happened in the past, if we had no idea who any of these other quarterbacks are right now, and we're just looking at it today, right? What is happening today, right? We would probably be looking at Jaden Daniels and Lamar Jackson as the two MVP frontrunners, right? I mean, if we have no history, we don't know one is a rookie, we don't know the other one has won multiple awards, we're just looking at it right now. Because originally Sam Darnold was there, but Sam Darnold probably slightly fell off a little bit. You would be looking, and honestly, probably Jaden Daniels would be the front runner, quite frankly, right? I mean, what he's been doing right now is absolutely historic, right? His run, his completion percentage, like everything he's doing has been wild. So if we're really using this, like we have no idea what the past or future or anything is, who any of these players are, you'd probably lean more towards Jaden Daniels, which is funny because a lot of people are saying that Jaden is like the next evolution of Lamar Jackson. He's Lamar Jackson 2.0. So it's kind of funny how things are like that. But yeah, I mean, like Lamar would absolutely be in the MVP conversation right now. Like of course. Now, will he win it? I think also, right, if other quarterbacks were continuing to ball out, right, if Josh Allen was 4-1 and if Patrick Mahomes was winning, but like just putting up significantly better numbers than what he's doing right now, heck, if Dak Prescott was 4-1 or something, right, like then you could start to see the argument for him to not be the MVP. But it's kind of like what Brew is saying, like no one else is really doing anything, again, except for Lamar and Jaden. Like they're the ones that have had a little bit more consistency. But I do also understand what Greg is saying, like losing game one again, week one against the Chiefs, right? And I know he made that throw at the end of the game and it was out of bounds, but he also had a few really bad missed throws that like are not easy to forget. You see that and you're like, yeah, I had the opportunity multiple times and you just straight up missed it. Those are the moments that people remember, but they also remember the highlight reel plays as well. So anytime I ever try to think about MVP, I never really try to think about it who my MVP is. I try to think of how do people think, how do people perceive this, where are the media biases, what are they considering? And that's why before the season even started, I picked Jordan Love and CJ Stroud, because I was like, all these other quarterbacks, I was like, Lamar Jackson would have to be historic. Patrick Mahomes would have to be historic. Like all these other quarterbacks would have to truly be doing such amazing things. And I made the educated guess that CJ Stroud was going to, continue the momentum from last season, as well as Jordan Love, which obviously got derailed with injuries and whatnot. And I figured both those teams are going to be really good. And so there you go. Like the media is going to want new things. They want CJ Stroud to win the MVP. They want Jordan Love to win the MVP. They don't want to just give it to the same player again and again and again and again. They want to share the wealth in a lot of ways. And so, but right now, there's not a lot of people to share it with, right? Like Jordan Love's not in the MVP conversation right now. And as amazing as I think CJ Stroud is, it's hard for me to put him in that category as well either. I mean, I think he's probably should be technically top 5 probably. But you know, when you look at some of the things, and this is where it really is kind of like the Heisman thing, like where it's really like when you look at like a highlight reel, like we saw him do with the stiff arm and running out of bounds and throwing the ball for a touchdown, right? Like those plays are truly unforgettable. When we talk about like, oh, that moment was unforgettable, that moment was amazing, we often use those phrases like way too frequently. But truly, it was truly unforgettable, truly amazing. But this is also where it's kind of crazy when you think about like what does the MVP mean? And like LeBron James famously discussed, which I've referenced in a lot of MVP conversations, it's like who's the best player and who's the most valuable player? Because you could make the argument, you know, Saquon Barkley is more important to the Eagles, right? You could make the argument that Jaden Daniels is more important to the Commanders. You can make the argument that Kyler Murray is more important to the Cardinals, right? Like again, Lamar Jackson is obviously way better than Kyler Murray. But like take Kyler Murray away from that Cardinals team and they probably don't have a single win, right? You could make the argument that Lamar Jackson can play a bad game, but they can still win. They can still hand the ball off to a Derrick Henry for, you know, and again, that's not to take away. Do not take that single little sentence that I just said, that means that the Ravens don't need Lamar and that they could win without Lamar and that Lamar is not great and that Lamar is not a top quarterback in the NFL, because that is not what I'm saying. It's just that this argument is always flawed because it's always brutal to figure out, well, you know, who is technically the most valuable player to the team. You can make the argument that it's still Patrick Mahomes, even though this has been defense. If you put another quarterback in there who can't manage the games as well as Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs would have probably lost a few more games as well. So again, it's like technically all of these players are the MVPs of their own team. It's just who's the most MVP of the MVPs, and it becomes tricky. It's why I really don't have a ton of interest in ever debating these conversations, because it is also random media members who vote, and awards that people vote on, I do not care. I know how biased people are. I know how petty people are. I know how confused people are, and I guarantee you these media members are not watching every single game because it's exhausting. I watch these games and it can be exhausting. I'm grateful for the opportunity, and believe me, anytime I ever start to feel bad about it, I just am saying like, dude, gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. This is amazing, and it is, but it is exhausting, and I can guarantee that there's a lot of these media members who are voting are skipping some games. I just guarantee it, because they're probably busier than me. They have a lot of other stuff that they're doing than me. They're either actually on these TV shows or they're writing a lot, right? Like they actually have more responsibilities than me. And so I'm sure, and they probably are older with families and wives and children and all of that type of stuff. So I'm sure they probably miss a lot of games, and yet they're still voting, right? Like it's all such a more complex issue than I think people really give credit to. We get told a lot of narratives that we just run with, and it sculpts the way we think and view things, which is why I'm so strict with, you know, taking my own notes and stuff, right? Like I just have pages and pages of notes, whether I'm right or wrong. At least it's my best trying to share what I see. And even though I'm still sculpted by what these guys say as well, right? Any of these shows, they greatly influence me as well, because there's sometimes I'll think of something and say, oh, that was a bad sack, and then I watch a video and, you know, Greg Jennings is like, yeah, that sack was tough, but he did it because of blank, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's a good point, right? It's just always trying to get this full perspective from 360 degrees. So but it's interesting to see Nick get so angry about all this type of stuff, when it's like, this is how I feel a lot of non-Patrick Mahomes fans feel, because they're just like, well, wait a second, like Patrick Mahomes has been given a lot of gifts, and yet he's getting all of the flowers for all of their victories, and understandably so, because he obviously does deserve a ton of credit, but it feels like he deserves all the credit. And now I'm sure Lamar Jackson fans are like, well, wait a second, Lamar Jackson's playing great, and now you're upset that he's getting credit for it, you know, that he's getting the MVP. But, you know, it's always interesting, especially because the MVP is a regular season award, but also like you don't forget what happened in the playoffs in previous years. So, yeah, I think the media always feels a little silly if they give the MVP to a player who then doesn't go out and win big in the playoffs, right? I think it's really that simple. If they ended up giving Dak Prescott the MVP last season, which would have been absurd, but then he gets rolled in the playoffs versus the Packers, I mean, like, that would have just been and then the 49ers keep going and make it to the Super Bowl, right? Like, it would just be you would just have egg on your face. It would feel absurd. So yeah, these awards are always flawed, and people always get heated and talk about MVPs and this or that. And I don't equate an MVP personally with greatness. Again, if that was the case, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, these guys would have 20 plus MVPs. It would just be MVP season after season after season after season after season. And that's never the case, obviously. So there's obviously significantly more to it. So don't get lost in the weeds on this one. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Lamar Jackson? One, do you think he is on a third MVP level? Best player in the league? He's the GOAT for a reason. He didn't say he's a GOAT. Apparently, as they wrote here, which I trust what they wrote because they definitely listened to it a couple times, he's the GOAT for a reason. Let me know what you guys all think in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.